Morning. So, it's autumn now. I don't know if you can see behind me, but the leaves are starting to turn. And you might be able to hear just right there, there's a lot of oak trees around me and the acorns are dropping. So you might hear that in the background. And so it's this time of year and going into the winter when, if you're camping outside, you start to have to think about staying warm overnight. How do you stay warm when you're camping outside in the woods? You need to think about this sometime in the summer, especially where you are. But definitely this time of year, it's not good enough just to go out with a light sleeping bag and you'll be fine. If you don't prepare yourself properly, you're going to be cold at night. So what do you need to think about to be warm at night when you're out camping? Well, the very first thing is one of these, a good ground pad. Lots of people think that, that ground pads and air mattresses are the same. You know, that a ground pad is really to provide some cushion from the ground. And that's true to a certain extent, but you know, if you look at this, it's pretty thin. It is air filled, so it's going to give me about a centimeter or so of cushion. But actually, what it's designed for is not to cushion me from the ground so much as it is to insulate me from the ground. One of the main reasons, probably the biggest reason why, especially in the winter, you're going to be cold at night when you're camping, is because not the warm air is escaping from the top of your body because you don't have enough blankets on top, but because you're not insulated from the cold ground below you. There's an old trick that you should have twice as many blankets if you're using blankets, twice as many below you. If you're cold, put a blanket under you rather than a blanket on top of you. So many times that's going to be the reason why you're cold at night when you're camping. So the very first thing you got to do is get yourself a good ground pad. Now, this is a Thermarest pad. There are some great ones out there, but as long as it's good and insulative, just a closed cell foam pad, the really kind of the traditional kind, has just as a good insulative value as one of these. So get yourself a good pad. It's not just to keep you cushioned off the ground. It's really there to keep you warm, especially in the winter. The next thing, of course, is the sleeping bag. And I've got my sleeping bag here. I'm just going to take it out. This one is a synthetic bag. I use both down and synthetic. One thing that is nice about synthetic is that, particularly in a damp environment, if it does get wet or damp, that it's not going to impair the insulative value of that bag. It's pretty rare, if you know what you're doing, that your bag's going to get wet, like actually wet, rained on, fall in some kind of body of water. It can happen, but it's pretty rare. What's more likely is there's just a high moisture content in the air, or perhaps you've decided to, you're really cold, you've put the top of the bag over your head, you've kind of curled up, and you're right inside the bag and you're breathing into the bag. That's a really bad idea to breathe into the bag, because what's happening is you're expelling all of that nice warm air into the bag. So initially it feels great, but also that nice warm air has a lot of moisture in it. And so what you're going to do is you're going to line the whole inside of your bag with moisture, and that's going to cool down very, very quickly. It's going to leave a very damp and clammy environment. So make sure you're breathing outside of your bag. But how we got into that topic was talking about synthetics. If it does get damp, even just from air moisture, then it's going to keep its insulative value. This bag, there's a couple things to think about. It's a mummy bag, so it's got one of these head pockets. I can put my head right in it, which is great. This bag also has a really large baffle here, right around where my neck would be, my chest and my neck. We'll talk about that a little bit later, but what that means is that if I cinch this up real tight, there's no air gap around my neck and head area. The other thing about this bag is its rating. So this bag, let's see if you can see that, is rated to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, -7 degrees Celsius for comfort. Now, what I recommend is that you get a bag Certainly in the UK, even for 3 seasons use, get a bag that's rated to at least freezing. At least freezing. It sounds crazy, but even on a summer's night, it can get down to the single digits, into the low single digits in the UK, pretty regularly. So get something that's at least freezing, and make sure that whatever the temperature that you expect to encounter, just look at the weather report, whatever temperature you expect to encounter, your bag is rated, in my opinion, at least 10 degrees Fahrenheit colder than that. That's going to keep you nice and warm. If your bag isn't rated to less than 10 degrees, than the temperature than you're expecting, then there's a couple things you can do. The first thing is to get a sleeping bag liner. There are some really good, really inexpensive sleeping bag liners that you can get. You can get them in silk or synthetic. I wouldn't recommend cotton because again, if it gets moist, it's just not going to have any insulative value for you. But silk or synthetic can increase your bag by 8 or 10 degrees easily. The other thing you can do is just bring a wool blanket. Put a wool blanket over your bag, and that's going to do exactly the same thing. The other benefit of a wool blanket is it's very, very versatile. You can use it for lots of other things. And if it's a great night, if there's no rain expected, you can lie next to the fire under the open stars. I've done it lots of times. If you have a synthetic bag, there's always a risk, in fact, it's not a risk, it's almost a certainty, that a spark is going to come off of the fire and land on your bag and burn a hole in it. If you have a wool blanket covering you, the wool is not going to burn, it's not going to melt, so a spark can fall on wool and it won't damage the fabric too much, and it's going to protect your bag. So a wool blanket's always a good idea as well. But get a bag that's warm enough for the conditions that you're expecting. So those are the 2 biggest pieces of kit that you're going to need. Then there's something that you need to do and a couple of things that you can put on. Especially in the really cold months, in December, January, February, March, what I'll see a lot of younger campers do especially is it's really cold at night. They've been out all day and it's just absolutely freezing. It's 10, 11 o'clock at night, they're going into their tent, they're absolutely freezing, it's dark. The last thing you want to do, you're already cold, the last thing you want to do is take your layers off, but it's absolutely vital. You've been in your clothes all day, you might be cold. If you're cold, get outside the tent, get outside the tarp, do some jumping jacks, warm yourself up a little bit. That's actually going to help you heat up your bag faster once you get inside of it. But whatever you've been wearing all day, take it off. Take every single layer off, because it's been against your skin. There's a lot of moisture in that clothing. Even if you can't feel it, even if it feels dry, that clothing there are going to be oils in it, there's going to be moisture in it. As soon as you stop moving, that's going to start cooling down very, very quickly, and those clothes, which during the day were keeping you warm, if you just jump inside your bag with them, they're going to make you colder at night. So it's 9 times out of 10, you're going to be better wearing nothing rather than the clothes that you've been wearing all day. But if it's really cold, you don't want to be wearing nothing. You want to be wearing some pajamas. You want to wear some kind of a layer. So what I've got here are some wool long underwear. Again, wool is great for all the reasons we've talked about already. If there's any moisture in the air, then this is going to keep you warm. It's going to feel snug and cozy. So put some pajamas on, tops and bottoms. I use this icebreaker wool, merino wool. It's fantastic stuff. It's a little bit expensive, but it's a fantastic piece of gear. It's definitely worth it if you can afford it. The other thing is a wool hat. Nothing special about this, just it's pure wool. Fleece hat works as well, but a hat will make you, you just put that on inside your bag. When I put it on, I will immediately feel warmer, just immediately. So much of your body heat radiates through your head. Put on a hat and your whole body's going to be warmer. You know, the old saying, if your feet are cold, put on a hat. So don't forget a hat. I carry this hat with me even all year round, even in the summer. in June, July, August, I will wear this hat, I'll carry this hat. And even this summer in August, we had a couple of cold nights. I put this on, I was just fine. But it was actually cold enough to put on a wool hat at night. And then finally, some wool socks. With these socks, make sure that they are not super tight. It's for some socks that you're going to be wearing at night, it's actually a good thing to buy them a size maybe even too large, because that's going to give your feet, it's not going to constrict the circulation with your feet. It's going to allow your feet to breathe, which is great. You've had them crammed up in some boots all day. You want those feet to breathe so that your foot health is good, but you also want that you don't want anything to impair that blood flow to your feet, because if you do, if they're too constrictive, then again they're going to make you colder rather than warmer. But a good pair of socks. And that's about it. Oh, there is one other thing which I don't have with me here, but I'll always carry with me, especially in the winter, is a scarf. Scarf is great. During the day you can kind of wrap it around, not just your neck, but kind of around your shoulders. Put it on like a mantle, and that's just fantastic for keeping the upper part of your body warm, or the upper part of your shoulders, which for me always seem to get a little bit colder than the rest. But during the night, if you're in a mummy bag, there's no airflow at your feet, all through your core. If you've got a hat on, that's all good. Obviously, you don't want to put anything across your face, because that's going to just collect all that moisture from your mouth and your nose. But right here, the neck and the upper shoulders, that's going to be the area where, if there's going to be warm air escaping from your sleeping bag, that's going to be it. That's where all that warm air that your body is generating, that all that heat, it's where it's going to escape from the sleeping bag. So what is a really good idea is get a scarf, get a sweater, a jumper, whatever. Tie it around your neck, again loosely, but tie it around your neck, and that's going to trap that airflow, and that's going to keep you really warm. That's going to serve the same purpose, in fact, a complementary purpose, as this baffle. That's what I was saying that we'll get to later. This great big baffle is serving that same purpose. It's preventing the air from coming out of the sleeping bag, but I would still use a scarf or a sweater and just further insulate myself. Having a warm neck, warm upper back, is just going to make such the difference. And if you're warm at night, that's going to make your next day just so much more enjoyable. No one likes camping, backpacking, climbing, whatever it is you're doing out in the outdoors. No one likes doing that on just a couple hours of sleep, or a night full of waking up every couple of hours because you're cold. It's no fun. Prepare properly so that you get a good night's sleep. It's a wonderful feeling. You're tired, long day out in the woods. Get into your sleeping bag, shut your eyes, you open them up, feels like a minute later, and it's dawn. That's a great feeling. Just to sleep through the night so sound because you're nice and warm. So, that's what you need to do to stay warm in the winter. Hope that was helpful. As always, be prepared, enjoy the outdoors.